Hello, my name is Ginger Kandi, and today I'm going to teach you how to make a carousel cuff, like this one. What makes this cuff unique is that it isn't created with an X or a pyramid base that stacks on top of each other. It's actually just made by creating points and then connecting those points with a vertical bar. Let's get started.
You will need pony beads, 0.7mm elastic stretch cord, 1mm elastic stretch cord, an X-base cuff, 2 X's in height, scissors, an optional beading needle, and optionally, fishing line to add stability to the outer layers. Once you've completed your X-base cuff with a 7mm elastic, we're going to be using the 1mm elastic to create points that'll be the foundation for this cuff. So I'm going to string through one of the top connector beads, and we're going to leave a little bit of a tail at the end so our string doesn't fall off. From here, we're going to add on 5 of our base colors. I'm using purple in this case, and I'm stringing through that very next connector bead on the top row. And because we're using 5, an odd number instead of an even number, it creates a triangular point like this. And we're going to create those all the way around the cuff. And we're doing this in lieu of using the X's that you typically see or pyramids that is used in a traditional 3D cuff. And continue this all the way around. Once you've completed that row, make sure to tie it off and snip off your ends. We're going to string up through our first point to that middle third bead, which is the connector bead on this point. And we're going to be adding on 5 more beads of a different color. And this is going to create a second row of points on here. At this point, if you wanted to, you could use the fishing line on the second row because the second row doesn't need to stretch as much. If you're having a problem with your cuff being very floppy, that would be my suggestion for it. But in this case, I've found that using a 1mm or 1.5mm elastic does the trick. And again, we're just going to string through that middle bead, creating more points, and do this all the way around the cuff. Once you've completed your second row of points, you're going to tie it off, cut off the excess. We're going to flip over the cuff and continue the same thing. We're going to do a row of the purple points and a row of the orange points. So this step is going to be an optional one. If you'd like to, you can create a ring around the middle, so when we do the vertical bars, it fills in that middle space, and we do it through the middle X's in the connector points. I use 3 beads. I use 1 pony bead, a connector bead, and another pony bead. In this case, my connector beads are the stars. So we just add our tail through one of the connector beads, add our beads on, and string through another connector bead. Remember to leave a tail so you don't pull all your beads through. And again, we're doing this all the way around, and it's going to be basically making a single weaving in and out through those center connector beads. I personally like to add this step because I feel like it adds just a little bit more of decoration and a little bit more depth to it. But again, if you don't want to do this, it's fine. Once you've completed that, make sure to tie off your ends and cut off the excess. Now this is the most trickiest part of the entire cuff, is adding these vertical bars. So I'm doing mine on the inside, and they're going to be orange on the first one, and then I'm going to do a purple row on the outside. So I do them in 5-inch lengths. You string through your connector bead on the purple row. Then you take your 2 ends and you pull them together, and we're going to add the beads on both ends of these string. And I added on 5 beads. Now that you have your beads added, we're going to string through the purple connector bead at the top and then tie it off on one side. Make sure that your strings are staying parallel with the beads and that they don't cross, because you don't want them to get tangled up when you're tying them off. So you snip off the ends and then make sure that your vertical pillars are lining up nicely and snug right next to the other beads, or else your pillars will kind of crinkle and not stay as even. I also like to hide my knots, so I'll pull on one side of the string and hide it inside the pillar, and so you don't see the knots, and it looks more clean and precise. And it should come out looking something like this. Our next step is to create the purple pillars that go on the outside like this. So how we're going to do this is the same exact thing. We're going to string through the connector bead on the orange points, and we're using the same 5-inch elastic. We're going to add on 5 beads, and we're going to tie it off just in the same way that we did on these last rows. And remember to do this all the way around the cuff. When you have the 5 beads, string through the connector bead on your orange. Make sure that your strings are not crossing and that they're going straight in the way that you had put them on the other bead. Pull one end out, tie the knot together, and then you're finished. Once you've tied your knot, make sure that you line your pillars up straight and you make sure that they are sturdy and that they're not going to bend and be flexible on you. As a strength test, what I like to do to make sure that everything's lined up right is I'll lay it flat and then touch the top of it, and as long as it doesn't bend without too much pressure on it, then it's sturdy. And you've successfully made your first carousel cuff. I hope that you guys like this video. As a special thank you for watching my tutorial, I'd just like to let you guys know that you can use the promo code GINGERCANDY to get 5% off your entire order at iHeartRaves or Amazing Lights. If you liked this video, please rate, comment, and subscribe. I put out new videos on Mondays. You can check out my latest video for a Galaxy cuff here, or my playlist of other 3D Kandi tutorials.